You know, we've all been there, stuck in a conversation that feels like it's just going in circles, right? Well, today, we're going to break down the unconscious tactics people use to avoid taking responsibility. Let's dive right in.
I mean, you know that feeling. You're trying to have a real, serious conversation, maybe hold someone accountable, and nothing. It just goes nowhere. You're met with blame, excuses, or they just totally change the subject. It is so frustrating.
But here's the thing. What if these behaviors aren't random at all? It turns out they're actually predictable tactics. Think of them as a kind of survival mechanism to protect a deep-seated pattern of irresponsible thinking. So it's not just about dodging one little thing, it's about defending a whole mindset.
Okay, let's start with the more aggressive strategies. These are the tactics someone uses when they decide the best defense is a really good offense. It's all about projecting blame outward to control the conversation and, put you on your back foot.
First up is what we call attack or superiority. And the idea here is pretty simple. If I can make you feel small, then I get to feel big. It's a total power play, and it's designed to shift the focus from their behavior to your supposed flaws.
So, what does this look like in the real world? Well, it's that person who is constantly pointing out your mistakes or blaming you because you misunderstood them. Or maybe they act like they're the only expert in the room. They might even try to embarrass you or just use pure anger as a weapon to shut down the whole discussion.
Next, we've got defensiveness and lying. This one is all about protecting their version of reality, even if that means bending or, let's be honest, completely breaking the truth. It's basically a refusal to accept any facts that don't fit their personal narrative.
And this can be incredibly hard to deal with. They might lie by just leaving out key details, or they'll twist your words around. Sometimes they'll just flat out deny something you know for a fact is true. And if you try to pin them down, they'll just deflect by turning it back on you, or they'll rationalize their behavior with a million excuses.
And that brings us to manipulation. Now this one's a bit more subtle, way more covert. It's all about steering the conversation and managing your reactions so that they never have to face the truth about themselves.
You see this when someone makes these really vague statements to avoid being held to anything specific. Or, when they cleverly change the subject right when you're getting to the main point. They might even ask you to do something they're not willing to do themselves, which puts the burden right back on you.
Now, not all tactics are about a direct attack. The next set we're going to look at is much more evasive. These are strategies people use to create a cloud of confusion, either minimizing the issue or making it seem like it disappeared altogether.
First in this category is obfuscation. The best way to think about this is like creating a fog of war around the topic. See, the goal isn't to win the argument. It's to make the argument so confusing and so exhausting that you just give up.
And this is exactly how they create that fog. They might divert your attention with all these irrelevant details, or they'll blow some tiny, insignificant point way out of proportion. It is a classic diversion tactic, and it's all designed to hide the real issue.
And, as you see here, sometimes the most effective tool for obfuscation is brutally simple. I forgot. I mean, it's the ultimate conversation ender, right? It's almost impossible to argue with, and it instantly absolves them of any obligation. Next up is avoiding or minimizing. This tactic is all about shrinking the problem down until it seems like it's not a problem at all. If they can convince you it's no big deal, well then they don't have to deal with it.
And this illustrates the point perfectly. Notice that word just. It is a classic minimizer. By framing it this way, they aren't denying the action, no, but they are completely denying its significance. And that's a really subtle but powerful way to avoid responsibility for the consequences.
You'll hear this in their language too. They might depersonalize things by saying it happened instead of I did it, or they'll claim they have no choice by saying I have to. Sometimes they'll even get stuck in analysis paralysis, where they overthink a problem so much that they never actually have to take any action.
And now for an all-time classic, the passive-aggressive tactic. This is for when someone wants to express anger or resistance, but, indirectly. The telltale sign is a huge gap between what they say and what they actually do, or what they actually mean.
Oh yeah, we've all seen this. The person who says yes, but has zero intention of following through. The person who gives you the silent treatment as a punishment. Or the classic, I'm trying, which sounds like they're making an effort, but is really just a way to shut down any criticism.
Finally, in this section, we have self-pity. This is when someone basically turns their own perceived flaws into a shield. They use feelings of shame or inferiority to try and make you feel guilty for even bringing up an issue in the first place.
So here's the crucial point. Victimhood can show up in different ways. With self-pity, the goal is to get your sympathy so you'll back off. But in a passive-aggressive context, playing the victim is more like a weapon. It's designed to make you feel like the bad guy for even daring to hold them accountable.
Okay, so we've identified all of these super frustrating tactics. The big question now is, what do we do about them? This final part is all about turning this recognition into real, meaningful action.
And it's so important that we do something, because letting these tactics run wild just fuels more anger and negativity. It lets the person stay in denial and completely removes any incentive for them to actually change their behavior.
Here is a simple but really powerful 3-step framework. First, just name the tactic in your own head. Oh, that's obfuscation. Or, yep, that's minimizing. Second, recognize it for what it is, a defense mechanism, not a personal attack on you. This helps you stay objective. And finally, and this is the most important part, disengage. Just refuse to get pulled into the argument. You do not have to play their game.
Ultimately, the most powerful move you can make is to just step away from the game entirely. By recognizing these patterns and refusing to engage, you stop fueling that whole dynamic. Like it says here, when you give up the tactics, you take your power back. And really, what could be more important than that?